What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my R&B review. The album I'm about to review today is the Ohio Players. I want to say this is their seventh studio album, Honey, released in 1975 on Mercury Records. Singles album was known for was Sweet Sticky Thing, Sweet Sticky Thing, Love Roller Coaster, and Fop. Um, and the producers, of course, was the Ohio Players. Okay, I'm just gonna break it out for everybody. This is the Ohio Players' best album. A lot of people have said this over the years and shit like that. This is their best album. Very influential, very controversial. No, not the music. It's somewhat, but I'm gonna get into that though. But yeah, man, fucking Ohio Players' Honey, man, was just this album right here. Like, this is the album that a lot of fans that not even fans of Ohio Players, they speak highly of this fucking album and shit. But let's take it back. So after the release of the Fire album, Ohio Players, they were still, they were still big. They were still bringing out huge numbers with touring and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, the next year, 1975, Westbound Records again wanted to capitalize on the Ohio Players' success. So, because when they dropped the fucking Climax album, which I did do a review on, I think a couple weeks ago with the Fire album and shit like that. The cover had like a girl stabbing a dude behind the back and shit like that. And so, with that being said, they came out with an album this time called Rattlesnake and shit like that. Hence the title, Snake and shit. But yeah, man. I actually heard. I never knew the album existed until weeks ago, or months ago and shit. I was like, Rattlesnake, what the fuck is this? So yeah, so Rattlesnake came out the same year. I don't know if it came before this album or after the album because there's not really a clear release date. It just says 1975. So I just thought I would mention it now since it was still talking about Ohio Players Honey 1975. So yeah, and so with this album came out the same year and shit like that. The first single that came out was Sweet Sticky Thing, which came out like a week before this album was released. And so, yeah, man, that's when this album came out and shit like that. Now, we can't really talk about this album without talking about this infamous album cover. Like, this album cover, it's no surprise that the Ohio Players, they always want to, they had like the album cover with the sexy ass females in like dominatrix suits and shit like that. But with Honey, they really set the bar high and shit. Like, had to have the fucking girl pouring honey on her fucking self and shit like that. And the girl that was actually the girl that was actually posing was an October 1974 Playmate of the Month. Her name was Esther Cordette, if I'm saying her name right and shit. So yeah, so with that being said, she had a honey all over herself. And believe it or not, the Ohio Players Honey was the only album where they got a Grammy and shit. And the Grammy was actually for the album cover. So, which was it's kind of crazy though, but at the same time, it's like, that just shows how infamous this album cover was and stuff like that. And so with this album, there was two major urban legends when it comes to this album. One of the urban legends, well, first of all, Jesus Christ. And the fucking Ohio Players just chilling, just looking and shit like Ohio Players were just some niggas, man. They were just crazy as fuck. But yeah, the first urban legend I want to say was that the girl Esther, she burned herself. They say that she got burned after pouring some honey all over herself and stuff like that. So that's like the first urban legend and shit. And so yeah, man, like this album cover Definitely one of my favorite album covers of all time. Yeah, man. And so with the album Ohio Play, you know the albums are relatively short. So with this album, it has about 7 songs. So let's get this shit started. Track number 1, Honey. Love this song. This is pretty much like a ballad, Quiet Storm kind of song and shit like that. Yeah, this shit right here is pretty smooth, laid back. I love the fucking synthesizers. Oh, and one more thing I want to say on the members of the Ohio Play. Excuse me. James Diamond Williams on drums, percussion, all that. Billy Beck on piano, organ. Marvin Murr Pierce on trumpet. Marshall Rock Jones electric bass. Mr. Leroy Sugarfoot Bonner on guitar and leading vocals. Ralph Pee Wee Middlebrooks on trumpets. And Clarence Satchel on tenor sax, baritone sax, and flute. And yeah, this is pretty much everybody was just so fucking on rare form with this album and shit like that. Even like Sugarfoot, who does some of his best vocals on this fucking album and shit. And so yeah, track number 1, Honey. Love this song right here. I just love. This sets the whole fucking tone of the album and shit. Very dope ballad. Track number 2, Fop. Which Fop pretty much is kind of like a play on fuck, basically, just by the way that like they're like the way they're using it in the song. Like they'll say some shit like I did the fop, they wouldn't let me stop. Yeah, I was fopping and rocking, had the house hopping. Fopping the way it makes you go, everybody was fopping. Everywhere you go, do all your shopping. Like, yeah, basically just adding like their own lingo and towards that whole shit. Love that song. Very nice little funk oriented track right there and shit. That is Fop. Track number 3, Let's Do It, or best known as Let's Love. Yes, this is pretty much one of my favorite songs, probably my favorite song off the whole album and stuff like that. And it's actually playing in the background if you guys can hear it. But yeah, Let's Love, man. That's just a very smooth, polished track right there. We've only got a day. Like, whew, I love that shit right here. I love the lines when they say that I am mean and evil, oh girl. Oh, but how can a starving man be? If you wouldn't listen to what they say behind my back, child, it would be making love to me. Like, basically just telling his woman, like, fuck all the bullshit, let's just make love and shit like that. Forget what you hear about me, we're just here for one night. It's pretty much like, if you guys are fans of the song Reasons from Earth, Wind & Fire, from the That's the Way of the World album, which that's among my favorite albums, not just from them, but of all time. Like, it kind of reminds me of that, but with the Ohio Play, they're like a lot more slicker with their wordplay and shit, you know. And the thing also I loved about this album too was the fact that they were really experimenting a lot more with jazz influence with this album and stuff like that, because with like the previous albums on Mercury, I want to say like Skin Tight and Fire, like they had like splashes of jazz, but with this album you can tell like they were really mastering that like jazzy funk upscale kind of sound, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Let's Love, very dope song. I love that song. I also love like the outro when they says like, bees do it, birds do it, even you and me can do it. Like, please do it, even you and me can do it. There's nearly nothing turning into honey. Like, I always love that outro and shit like that. Yeah, Let's Love, very dope song, like a feel good kind of song and shit like that. Just judging by the way I'm vibing to the song right now, you should already know and stuff. So yeah, that's Let's Love. And then next track we got is Ain't Give It Up No Ground, which is pretty much like a minute and 45-second jam right there and stuff like that. Nothing really to it. Track number 5, Sweet Sticky Thing. Oh my god. Sweet Sticky Thing is definitely a very, 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 very cool song. Very jazzy, very upscale funk in a way and shit like that. Um, all of my it's been sampled a lot, but all of my Outcast fans, y'all should definitely know about that song right there. You know what I'm saying? The horns on that track alone was very dope too. Like, yeah, man, Sweet Sticky Thing, definitely a very dope song. Track number 6, Love Roller Coaster. Yeah, this is pretty much their signature song. In a way, like this is pretty much, like next to Fire, Love Roller Coaster, like the signature song. Very funky track and shit like that. Like used the metaphor like a roller coaster, you know, of course, like a roller coaster and shit like that, you know, but with a funky way and shit. Yeah, man, I love this fucking track. I love this track. There's a very, you guys probably have heard of this urban legend, but if you guys listen to like the song, like this, probably like the second half of the song, there's like this weird noise, like this high pitched noise, like ah, like some shit like that. And there's been some controversy and some rumors that some girl got stabbed in the studio when they were recording this song and shit like that. You know, some crazy shit like that. But it turned out to be like a keyboard effect that Billy Beck did and shit like that made it, because he wanted to capture like a girl's actually, or someone screaming in the roller coaster and stuff like that. So yeah, man. And there's been a lot of urban legends over the years when it came to that part. Like they'll have like them recording like a girl falling off a roller coaster and screaming to death, or a rabbit being killed outside. Like a lot of crazy shit like that. You know, a lot of crazy rumors, and that's what really made people really get this album and shit like that. Because if I'm not mistaken, I want to say this is actually their most successful album. I want to say. Let me double check. But yeah, pretty much like it's neck to neck with like Skin Tight and Fire, but pretty much it's like their most successful album, pretty much. So yeah, and so that's when like a lot of people wanted to get the album and shit. But yeah, Love Roller Coaster, that's definitely very funky track right there. And like you guys should know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they actually covered the track too on the Beavis and Butthead Do America original movie soundtrack and shit like that. Yeah, their cover was pretty dope. The Beavis and Butthead Do America movie, I love that movie. Very dope movie from that time. Like Beavis and Butthead, y'all should know. But yeah, but the original version, hands down, is like the version that I would definitely recommend and stuff. And the last song off this album is called Alone. Yes. The Ohio Players' best ballad, Sugarfoot again at his best. Like when it comes to this song right here, you can definitely feel like the emotion and stuff like that. Especially when he says like somebody pick me up off the floor, like, and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. This is like their best ballad, period. Yes, I love it more than Heaven Must Be Like This, which is kind of surprising though, because I do love Heaven Must Be Like This too. But yeah, and in some versions of this album, they actually have like the live, I think they replaced the studio version with the live version and shit like that. It was some versions. I'm glad I got like the studio version. I'm glad I got that, because even though the live version is dope, and it's a very dope live version, if y'all can find it, you know, there's always something about when somebody just records, you can feel the raw emotion in the studio and shit, you know. But yeah, and that's all of the album right here. Overall, this is a very dope album and shit. This is a classic album by many people. Don't just buy the album for the album cover. Like, this is very funky, very, you know, slick and shit like that. Ohio Players was definitely at their peak when it came to this album and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus Christ. And it's crazy too because of the fact that, you know, What was I about to say? What was I about to say? Like, you know, a lot of people just, you know, would just get this album on higher players, but you know, they've always had some dope shit. Always had some dope albums and shit like that. But this is the album where like everybody pretty much knows and stuff like that. Like the horns on this album was amazing. Like just listen to Sweet Sticky Thing and shit like the instrumentation. It just sounds like very ahead of its time and stuff like that. You know, it's oh my god. But yeah, man. This album is you. It's still. I want to say it's still in print. I want to say, but it's pretty hard to come by because they reissued this album in Japan actually. But the most known copy you guys can probably get is the 2001 reissue and shit like that. And yeah, and I think this is like one of the and I think like this version right here is pretty much one of the like earliest CD versions and shit like that. I want to say because yeah, I think this is like the 1991 the CD reissue. I want to say, but yeah, man. With that being said, this is definitely a classic album, a funk classic and shit. You know, soul like soul funk whatever. And you know, after the release of this album, you know, all I'm gonna say is the next two releases is pretty much like their plateau period. But I'm definitely gonna hold off on those releases. So I might finish those releases off probably next month to be real, cause I want to actually do the album I've been wanting to do like pretty much all year, and it's an album I've been mentioning to do, but I've been wanting to take my time with it. So this is pretty much I'm gonna review this album pretty much next. When it comes to R&B, yeah, Stevie Wonder's The Journey Through the Secret Lives of Plants and shit. So this is gonna be a pretty heavy review. That's all I'm gonna say. But with that being said, this is your boy Reg here. Thank y'all so much for watching and shit like that. Make sure y'all click that subscribe button. Peace. Sweet. Sweet 423. Yeah, checking the address. Sweet, sweet. Hmm? Yeah, when I get back, which I'll remind you, tonight while we chilling, screenshot me a picture of the Joe Biden spot for this line and for the line back. Okay. Because that's why I said I'd be able to do that because as long as I send that for him before Monday night, which as soon as you send it to me, that's when I get texted to him. That'll be added to my check because he said we can get reimbursed since the training is technically free and we're just doing some I can be reimbursed. Okay. So I'm gonna get reimbursed literally at the latest on Friday. Gonna get exactly what he's gonna slip and be getting back right back to the box. Okay, yeah, just text me that way. Alright.